Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Here's your fourth stimulus check update, fourth stimulus package update, and daily news report. I will be going over what Congress thinks about a fourth round of stimulus payments. In 2021, changes on the U.S. child tax credit system meant that most qualifying families are able to receive half of their 2021 child tax credit money in advance, before the other half of the sum is received in 2022 during tax season. As part of the American Rescue Plan they passed in March of this year, Democrats increased the maximum child tax credit. Parents can now claim in 2021 for each of their children under the age of 18 to $3,000 or $3,600 for each child under the age of 6, and made the full value of the credit available to families with no income for the first time ever. The expansion lifted 3 million children out of poverty in its first month alone, which will improve their education, health, and economic outcomes throughout their lives if the policy is continued. Democrats have made extending this policy a centerpiece of their $3.5 trillion Build Back Better agenda. But despite its success, Democrats are only proposing to extend the expanded child tax credit through year 2025 at the latest, because the annual cost of continuing the current expansion will roughly double after related policies from the GOP's 2017 tax law expire. Fortunately, they can resolve this problem, making those related policies permanent. The GOP tax law temporarily doubled the maximum child tax credit to $2,000 and made more high-income parents eligible for the credit as a part of a broader effort to consolidate family tax benefits. Previously, parents could claim a child tax credit worth up to $1,000 for each of their children, and all households could reduce their taxable income by $4,050 for each personal exemption that they claim for themselves and their dependents. Millions of families throughout the United States have received $300 stimulus money. So far, the Internal Revenue Service has sent out more than $30 billion in child tax credits in the months of July and August, with the majority of those being direct deposit. The next payment dates are September and October 15th, November 15th, and also December 15th. These monthly payments can be managed with the Internal Revenue Service's online portal, where you can check the status of each installment. Taxpayers could also choose to either deduct the cost of specific expenses from their taxable income or claim a standard deduction that was the same for everyone. The GOP tax law temporarily repealed personal exemptions but increased the child tax credit, doubled the standard deduction, and created a $500 non-refundable credit for non-child dependents. To keep their bill from adding to the deficit after 10 years, which would have prohibited them from passing it via the filibuster-proof reconciliation process, Republicans scheduled these and many of their bill's other provisions to expire after the year 2025. Those expirations are what would make a formal score of the costs of the Democrats' child tax credit expansion spike after that year. Close to 3 million people have signed a Change.org petition calling for the federal government to provide $2,000 in monthly stimulus payments. The federal government has distributed 3 rounds of stimulus payments as of now. The first payment was distributed in March 2020, in the early days of this crisis, where eligible individuals received up to $1,200. Then the second check of $600 arrived in December 2020. And the third round of payments were distributed this past March, where eligible individuals received up to $1,400. So everyone, do you agree with Congress that sending out fourth stimulus checks is a good idea? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Fresh off a House vote to advance a $3.5 trillion budget blueprint, Democrats must now draft a massive social spending package. A major point of contention, taxes. President Biden and lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are interested in enacting infrastructure legislation this year, but face challenges in figuring out how to pay for it. Before Democrats pass the package with likely unanimous GOP opposition, they are facing some internal disagreements over how to fund it, likely a collection of tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans investors, and large companies. President Biden proposed a 28% corporate rate, higher than the current 21% level. But moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin are already uneasy and say they'd prefer to see a 25% rate instead. So everyone, how do you think that the infrastructure bill should be paid for? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
And by that, I mean this. You know, I think that we have in some ways created this hierarchy about what we decide is a valuable education, where we have said, well, higher education, that's a very valuable education. And I'd like to challenge that point. I think that instead of talking about higher education, especially where we are now as a country, where we are because of technology, where we are because of the future of work, we should talk about it in the context of education after high school. Here's why. Almost any job that we need to be filled will require some education after high school. That's just a reality. And so let's then agree to that and say we're going to create then a variety of options for an individual to get education after high school. And that option will be, maybe it's a technical college, maybe it's an apprenticeship program, maybe it's a four-year college. But agreeing that we have to invest, if we are to invest in our future and the future of our workforce, in education after high school. And that's part of what is happening here. And also understanding that education after high school should recognize that for a lot of folks, some of the best good jobs don't necessarily require that you're going to walk across the stage with a diploma, but it does require that you'll have the skills to get that certificate, skills to get